Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to People Perspective in the Pulse, where the mic stays open, the conversation stays real, and the poetry flows naturally. From headache to heartache to healing, headlines to home life, we're talking about it all.
Hey, there we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome back for another episode of PPP.
People Perspective in the Pulse in the building.
Yes, and I know y'all have gotten used to me and Chamber sitting here talking and going all over the place with conversations from hair to music to poetry to relationship. Like we tried, like the intro says, we talk about it all.
Everything.
But today,
we have a special guest.
Yay! We have a guest. So we want to introduce him first or bring him in and then introduce? What you want to do?
I say we bring him in and introduce him so that way they can see the illustrious beard with the name.
Oh, and we just did an episode on hair.
Yeah, it's perfect timing.
Yes. So and hair was about the beard. So I'm gonna bring this other bearded man up on the stage. Yes, there y'all go.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
Yes.
Welcome, sir. Peace. Thank you so much for joining us.
Sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for having me.
Yes. So we have with us Dr. Thomas Rashad Easley. I don't know why I added all those syllables in your name because I just added extra letters. I don't know what was. I got excited.
It was excitement. That's what I was about to say. It was excitement.
Yeah. I added some R's and some Thomas Rashad Easley.
You said it. And heard her say it better than that. And Alpha, so no, that's good. Thank you.
So when I was saving, because sometimes when you go in and you get ready to bring people in and stuff, you got to save the thing as something. And I was like, what am I gonna save this as? And I put it in. I was like, I'm gonna put his initials. And so it says at the top, meeting with Dr. Trey.
That's me. TRE. Dr. Trey, that's wild, isn't it?
I like
that. As I typed it, I was like, Thomas Rashad. Wait a minute.
I think that's kind of hot. I don't know. That's kind of dope.
It's funny, one of my one of my records, I said, I am the DOC. I said, no one can do it better. I'm the DOC, DRE, literally Dr. Rashad Easley. I'm actually what that name actually represents.
Yeah.
Just as long as you actually drop the chronic.
If you're
gonna be Dr. Trey, you're gonna have to actually drop it. Like, don't play with us now.
I'm gonna drop the chronic. I'm gonna call it hydroponics, okay? Because I'm a forester, so I'm gonna make it about plants. All
yes,
right? And,
I like it.
And then because I'm a vegetarian, I'm gonna have a song in there called "Food for Thought." So all the lyrics are gonna use apples, bananas, and stuff like that. So yeah, that's Dr. Trey's on the doc is back in. Part 6 is coming.
Hey, yes. I love it. So we don't just have Dr. Rashad Easley on here because I'm just gonna call him Rashad.
Sure,
we don't just have Rashad on here just because. So what we do and kind of don't, but he fits all of the P's in the people perspective in the pulse. He is part of the people. He has a wonderful perspective, and he is part of the pulse of the community. And when I say community, I mean whatever community he's in, from Connecticut to Alabama to North Carolina to Mississippi to Florida, Atlanta, you name it, he's got his finger on the pulse.
That's right. That's right.
Look, you like, wait a minute, since you put it that way, I'm like,
it's a lot of work though. I appreciate that intro. I mean, I work with great people. But I hadn't really thought of it like that, until you said it. So, no, I appreciate that.
Sometimes it takes somebody else saying it besides yourself. You know what I mean? Sometimes you be so in the thick of it and doing your own thing for so long, you don't realize all the stuff, all the things that you're a part of and the environments and the ecosystems that you're a part of intellectually. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah, I think it's easy to kind of approach things in a deductive way, which I have a struggle with. It's like I'm either thinking I'm not doing too much. I mean, I'm not doing enough, excuse me. Or if I'm doing too much, am I doing the right stuff? Okay, and then someone else is looking in and they're like, oh, I see the plus to this, and you like, oh man. So I always say people who really do work in community, and I know you two do as well, we're usually the hardest on ourselves.
Yes.
Until a certain point, probably like when success or what we deem as success, because the truth is we're hard on ourselves where everybody else sees the success.
That's a fact.
If you ask me, I'd be like, I'm not successful. Then I talked to Rashad for 5-10 minutes, and then he's like, but you, I'm like, darn. Okay. Like I
think that's right.
It's good to keep you humble and keep you moving, and I'm not saying anything about like you two. I'm talking about me. The challenge is when it becomes about it kind of like deprecating, minimizing, shrinking, and the truth is, even though you could just be talking, like, I'm just talking, but as Cat Williams said in his recent special, the mind don't know, like when you're messing around, playing around. So when you say it, you're saying it back to yourself. So if you say, "Oh man, I'm not doing it," you see, or that's equivalent to me of saying I'm not enough. I'm like, hold up, and me and Butterfly had a conversation. Yeah, I had to talk myself down last Friday, just like, nope, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. Yeah. But I had to do it. So I appreciate that intro. And
absolutely. And we as a community need to speak more life into each other. It's something that I like to, even tell my kids and my grandkids all the time. I notice we have a generation of people that always got something negative to say, never have anything positive, or they spend so much time in the negative that even when they hear something positive, they can hear a negative out of it somewhere. Oh, you look nice today. So I didn't look nice yesterday. What?
And
it's like they're listening for mistakes. I'm sorry, Queen.
No. You're absolutely right. And we listen. I think me and Chamber had this conversation before. We listen from our perspective. So we hear what we want to hear, no matter what the other person is saying. However we feel about ourselves is what we're going to take from what somebody else tells us.
That's right. That's right. And I've often said that when somebody is conditioned to misunderstand you, there's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
Like it doesn't matter how much truth or how much evidence or how many receipts you bring to the table. If they are destined to misunderstand you, they are going to. Period.
I never thought of it like that. Yeah.
It's the same as like the thought process of when they say, if you look for something hard enough, you'll find it. I used to be under the thought process that meant that it's there, but that's not what it actually means. It actually means if you look for something hard enough, you'll find it, because your brain will just create the atmosphere for it to exist and make it a reality that isn't there. It'll hallucinate a truth that doesn't belong, and they'll be like, oh yeah, that's right. Because you're looking so hard and so deep to find it, you'll create a reality for it to be true.
Yeah.
So that right there is it's eloquently put, sir.
Thank you.
But I also think that's part of the reason why, I see what we're going to talk about. So I'm not going to jump. I'm just saying what you just said is part of the reason why I'm glad that we're going to discuss it. Because I do believe that it's kind of like self-manifestation. In my opinion, some of what you just said, or self-fulfilled
prophecy.
Okay, thank you. And so I just wanted to say, I just wanted to bookmark that, because that is part of what I think is going to be important for me to point out when we start.
Okay,
absolutely.
And before we get started on the topic, because we done got on this, and now I got to say it. So I know a lot of and I know we did a mental health show already, but I'm gonna still talk about this part real quick before we get started. A lot of the dialogue in our head we didn't create, and so what we have to do as a people and as an individual person, figure out where your dialogue came from, and once you figure out where it came from, then figure out, is it true? And then once you go through all that and analyze all that, and then you decide, okay, that's not true, so you can tell yourself it's not true. But then you have to replace it with something that is true, that comes from you, that comes from a good place, that comes. And it can come from somebody else, but only if it's a good thing. Like, I'll hear Chamber and Rashad in my head sometimes saying stuff to him, and I'll be like, you right. Then I got my other friend, can't say his name, but he'll say stuff to me a lot, and I'll be like, okay, you right. So sometimes, only the good, but we tend to hold on to the bad.
Yes.
And that's kind of what runs us and tells us we're not doing enough. You're not good enough. You can't do this. Who says you can do that? Why are you trying this now? No. Talk back to that. But I call mine a chick, a trick. Girl, don't play with me. That's what I tell her when she started talking crazy. Don't play with me because I'm not the one. And I put her in her place. So talk to her. There's no such thing as you have to talk to her gently, because a lot of people are like, well, you got to talk to yourself gently. It's
not that part of you.
Not like that.
Talking crazy.
You can shut that
Not
down.
that part of you. Yeah, I actually saw a study not too long ago where they said they took a group of older people. It was an experiment, and the scientists took a group of older individuals, like senior citizens, and they took them to this park. But the interesting thing about the park was actually designed to look like when they were younger. And then they were told, all of the participants were told, we want you to speak as if it is 1959, maneuver as if it's 1959. So they started to monitor the people as they kept taking them back to this park. And the people actually started to feel younger because you were telling yourself you were younger. We imagine how many times, and I had to stop doing it myself even after I read about this experiment. How many times I say, well, I'm old now. And then I started to realize every word that comes out of your mouth is a command that your cellular structure, like you just said, that Cat Williams said, who, by the way, is inducted in Mensa and is not an idiot.
That's right.
He said every word that comes out of your mouth is a command. And that command goes to your cellular structure and your body just reacts to it. So if you keep saying you're old, your body's going to act old. But if you revive yourself and speak more positively, there's a lot that has to be said. When it comes to plants, we've seen studies that show that speaking positively to plants does that. Speaking positively to animals does that. And then speaking positively to your children, of course. But speaking positive to yourself has just the same effect, if not more.
That's real. Yeah. That's real talk. Well, that's what I was doing last week. That's what it's like, because the messages that were coming up was all about like I wasn't doing enough, or I wasn't enough, and I was like, that's a lie. That's not true. And it was happening so regularly. I just felt heavy, like you just can't get up.
Yes.
And that's how it felt. I couldn't get up, and I love to work out. I like shoot, I'm up wearing the tracksuit now. And I couldn't work out. But and I know, but here's what's funny. I said I couldn't work out. Yes, I could, but there was some in me that allowed myself to not work out, because I was like, I'm going to allow myself to kind of deal with these feelings. So I did do that. I said, I'm going to deal with these and I'm going to shut them down, do the best I can. So it's like, I may feel, okay. Well, like, because there's going to come a time in my life when my body may not be able to move. It can happen.
That's right.
So that means that this needs to be strong. So I just kept talking to myself, and I went for a walk, felt better. I'll admit that when I started eating the right stuff, like some fruit, some natural, some real stuff, I felt things shift, almost immediately. But you do have to talk. You have to. You got to talk to yourself.
You got to. Yep.
Okay. So our title is DEI still a thing? And we're posing this to you because you've been in DEI in different places and spaces, because it was NC State and at
Yale.
I always get them two mixed up. I always want to say Harvard. I don't know why.
Well, number one and number two. Harvard was first, Yale was number two.
Yep.
Yeah. So at NC State and at Yale, you've done DEI and you've worked in these spaces. So tell us your thoughts on the shift and the changes. And I know that's a lot. Okay. I'm not gonna ask a bunch of questions in one, but
I guess we should start with, first and foremost, for everybody, because my whole philosophy has been, we talked about this before, is let's establish the baseline, the foundation. Yes. What exactly is DEI?
Sure.
For the layman.
Okay. So it's just excuse me. So it's three terms, or I like to say three principles, because it's not even like a study in college, And when you put the letters together, the whole point is that they're meant to try to do something. So I'll try to keep it simple. So diversity just means difference. We all got difference. We bring these differences in with us. Differences of how we look, differences of how we sound, differences of how we think, how we feel, how we were brought up, even our journey, how we got there. E is equity. So like say if, like both Chamber now, both men, and the butterfly wanted to do something, but she wants to do something for me. She wants to do the same thing for you. The reasoning can be the same, but maybe the tactic has to be different, because you're a different person. You see, so it's like, like I'm here, and then you're you see, just in that, just locale is different. You see,
right.
So you have to do something different. So equity just means giving people what they need the way that they need it at the time when they need it. And then I is just inclusion. Now the I is what I think is what messed people up. I think that's what messed people up. Because I know when I was doing my talks before things started getting shut down, and that's funny, I still have clients now because of how I explained it. The I means you work with people you bring new people to the table. You work with who's already at the table. And a lot of the resistance came because people thought whoever's at the table, you're saying kick them and get rid of them. And I'll admit, I think that was a lot of rhetoric. I heard that myself, it's kind of like get rid of white people, move them out of the way. I forgot the theorist who said this, but that remember in Charlottesville a few years ago, and they were talking about you will not replace us. You remember those people walking with the tiki sticks and stuff like that. It came from a book actually, so what DEI is meant to do is just to help the institute and bring about fairness in a place that's tough for it to be or that was not really created for it. That's all it is. That's all it is. So so if the president can mess around with somebody in the company and not be fired, then the assistant should be able to not. You see what I'm saying? So it's just about fairness. And what happens is usually the lower you are on the hierarchy, all the rules apply to you. The higher you are, usually, all of the loopholes can apply to you. So all DEI was how do we institute fairness in a place that wasn't meant for it or that wasn't built for it originally, or we having challenges trying to institute it. That means you got to look at policies and procedures. The thing that I think made it difficult is, and I saw this myself. Okay, one, look, I'm a man. I've heard so many jokes and bad stuff about how men are so bad, so I can tell you, like, sometimes you get tired of that, it's just like, just like our sisters who get tired of hearing things about women, So now let me stop let me bookmark something. Now I'm a proud, man of color, melanated black man. A lot of the complaints people had were warranted. They were relevant. They were real. So I just want to make sure that I say that first, okay? Because, women and still are dealing with injustice in the workplace, still trying to get, financial parity, let alone gender parity, and that's when I'm talking about trans people as well, gay people are still being mistreated, folk of color, I can get on immigration, but we don't got to go there. We know what's going on in the world. So that stuff is real. Okay, now let me just hit pause there. But a lot of times when I was being brought into places, the thing that I would see, now I'm not going to bash the younger generation because I love y'all. Y'all are the reason why we keep going. But it is true, like, people, like our parents, technically are stronger than we are. Okay, they just are. They're more resilient, if you will, than we are. Yes. If you were alive during the Vietnam War, during World War II, during civil rights, you know what I'm saying, and you were a full adult during the Cold War, you are more resilient. That's why people miss their grandparents when they die, and because they're more resilient. Our generation, like 40s, 50s, I think we're unlike anybody. We're probably the most flexible and the most knowledgeable, okay, and resilient all at the same time, because we were raised by those folks. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
And we came up when things were revolutionized: television, music, hip hop, Hollywood. Oh, see, you got Jennifer, internet, cell phone. See what I'm saying? We were alive before, of course, vehicles, regular cars towards digital and electric vehicles now. So we phones cling just to these now. Then you have the younger generation, like say 20, I'm going to say jump over 30s, 20s, maybe teens. And because so much has been set up for them. So this is why I'm not trying to disrespect them. Because so much has been set up for them, from social media to being able to access the internet, access information, they haven't had to work as hard to access things. Now, they're up against a lot. I'm not minimizing that. They're up against a lot now. But they haven't had to work to get that kind of information. So when you critique them, it sounds like a punch. You see what I'm saying? When you say anything that seems like it's a challenge, it sounds like it's an attack. You see? But it's because those muscles haven't been cultivated with how to deal with that kind of stuff. You see? So every generation or every part of the civilization has a pro and a con about it, or a challenge about it. Okay, so now the reason I was going there is I was brought into a lot of places, and I would see people, unfortunately, who would be raising Cain about rights and privileges, but they weren't doing their job. And I'm not saying that was everybody, but you see, and so then when you look at it, it started to look like people having jobs who don't deserve it. because you see people kind of slacking and doing stuff. People now saying anything that they want and they don't want any consequences. And I would tell people, well, who did that before we did that? You see, I'm like, so you're trying to be like the people that you're trying to challenge, you see? And so I would always tell people it's a two-way street. DEI is not a one-way street. DEI is about you finding a way of me working with you, you finding a way to work with me, us figuring out how to do this thing together, and then we increase productivity. And so as Butterfly mentioned, I worked at NC State, I worked at Yale, I have a consultancy that's done all those places. Everywhere I worked, nobody got fired. Nobody lost their job. And people didn't really leave. They didn't leave either. I helped to enrich the place with a team of people. People are still there. But the thing that I did was put people, specific people in key positions so that they can't be fired so that we can keep these things going. So I was at NC State for 13 and a half years, Yale at 4. I was quicker with my success at Yale because I'd already done it at State. And the work that I did is still going on. You see, but that was the thing. Now I say there's one last thing, and then for a hush. The thing is, you got to be willing and able to challenge yourself. And that's what was happening. People weren't really able to do that. So if you're always externally looking, and this is when it goes to the perception of the mind, this is what I would tell people. They would say, it sounds like you're victim blaming or shaming. I said, no, it sounds to me like you are not acknowledging the power that you really have. See, what I know is if you walk into the door with a chip on your shoulder, and you don't know how to put that chip aside when you walk in, you're actually contributing to an environment that's hostile for you.
Yep.
See, because you're contributing to it. See, you're bringing some energy in there. That's not victim blaming or shaming. That's me saying do you not realize how powerful you are? So if you perceive that this is going to be tough, then something tough happens, it's going to be tough. So that's what I would tell people. But like I said, that's not to take away that people have experienced things. I've experienced things, But it got to a part where I had to start telling people, you don't realize how powerful you are. So when DEI got attacked, it started looking or sounding like the people. You're saying, get rid of me. So therefore, I'm not going to like it. Bring in people who don't deserve what they deserve. Therefore, I'm not going to like them, and they're taking from me, you see. And so it became easy to get rid of it. And here's the thing. It's not just black and white. It's just like black people who think that our immigrants are a problem. They're taking our jobs. So then they make a vote against their own interests. You see what I'm saying? You don't have the complete picture. It's not true. You see, or men are, oh man, women are this. And it's just like, no, hold on, wait. You don't understand they struggle. You don't get what they've been doing. See, so then you put your vote, so you vote against your own interest. Whenever you attack another group or don't like another group, you're eventually going to make a choice against your own interest. Because to not like somebody means you don't like yourself. That's it.
That's true. It's true. It's very true.
Hope I answered that question.
And I'm just gonna go off of that last statement. I tell people all the time, if somebody don't like me, ain't got nothing to do with me. That's on them. That's their problem.
That's their problem.
So,
and you know what? And I'm gonna take it to the interaction of genders and relationships and so on too. The one thing that's been a game changer for me is to start telling people if somebody has a particular preference, they're entitled to it. I don't have to agree with it. If you don't like bald men with beards, cool. We ain't got to have a discussion. And I think that not just men, but women also, stop wasting so much of your time so hyper-focused on the stuff you don't like. If that's your preference, you ain't got to explain it to anybody. Stick with your preference and focus on the things you do like. But I believe that we live in a society where you spend so much time focused on the stuff you don't like, you have no idea what you do like.
Yeah.
Okay, you told me everything that's negative. You told me everything that's wrong. So what do you like? And all of a sudden it's crickets. You don't hear nothing. Ain't nobody got anything to say because we have a capitalist system and a social media society that's set up in such a way that the only thing they care about is the negative side. There is no positive.
And they made DEI into a negative thing and then try to take it away. But then they're using DEI when they do other stuff. Like you still
exactly.
You're still doing it. It's still in place.
You just call it something else now. That's all.
You call it something else. It's fascinating. Okay, let me say. Okay, because I could say a lot. I could give you research. I could give you dates, years. It's a lot of things. When I first got involved with this kind of work, it was just diversity. That was like in the early 2000s. It was just diversity. We need to bring more people that look like all of us into this workplace.
Right.
Well, interesting is that I get there. And there was NC State, and I was in the College of Natural Resources. So I'm a forester. You don't see a lot of us in forestry. You know what I'm saying? But I'm sure, but you all are part of things too that you don't see a lot of people who look like you there as well, So that's the thing. It's not abnormal. Think about that. It's not abnormal to be in a place where you don't see a lot of yourself. Okay, so if you get accustomed to that, which I'm used to that, I'm comfortable with that. I'll acknowledge sometimes it may be draining because I love being around melanated, beautiful people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I don't feel the same drain. Mm-hmm. And that's just a fact. I just don't. That's not me saying I don't like people of lighter hues. That's just me saying that I understand how my energy is used. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
By 2010, it was diversity, equity, and inclusion. So it's like all these three things. And I used to always joke, I like, what the heck we need the other two letters for? We still ain't got the first one yet. Like, what y'all doing? And so I noticed that in academia, everybody wants to be first. Going to what you said, brother, about the capitalistic system. It shows up in academia too, right? I want to be first. So people want to publish and start putting stuff out. So over the last decade, I'm sure you'll notice a lot of language around things changed. It shifted really quickly. I don't have an issue with the shift. The issue I have is with people adopting it so fast. I'm like, don't adopt things until you know what it means. So I didn't adopt everything that I heard. And for me, that's what inclusion actually is. See, everything doesn't apply to me.
Right.
But to me, like I said, what started to happen. Here's another thing that started to happen. See, I stopped going into a place, calling the place a white space. I started noticing people would say that, this white space. I said it when I first started doing this work. Then I started going, wait a minute, if I call it white, then what is it when I show up? Because has it not changed when I showed up? Do I not contribute or add anything? So I stopped minimizing myself, and that's why I go back to the perception. And I noticed that when I stopped minimizing myself, I stopped needing so many friends at work. I stopped needing so many people to agree with me because I accepted me. The fight was always within me. It wasn't really with them. That's why I developed PTSD, because I was fighting with myself all the time, and I thought I was fighting against them. You see, but it was me. So it's like I turned in on myself, and I didn't realize it when I started developing these uncontrollable shapes and stuff like that. It's because I was fighting myself and didn't even realize it. So if I stop fighting myself, I can show up more strongly. What I started seeing, that people who do this work with you all, both of y'all are change agents, just because of the way y'all work. So both of y'all will get this. When you're trying to get other people to see the difference and you realize that they're standing in their own way. And that's what I started seeing when I was doing this work, whether it was at Yale or whether it was at NC State. What I started seeing is the students are like, it's like they're manifesting something. Someone says something, now it got to be this big thing. And I'm like, no, it don't got to be all that. Maybe it's just a miscommunication. Why's it got to be racial? Why's it got to be homophobic? Like, why's it got to go all the way to that? You see, so that's what I mean when I say people got more sensitive. They couldn't take anything. Nope. And my thing is, and that's why I love how I grew up. I'm like, stop being a sucker. Learn how to play the dozens. I mean, and I'm saying that. Like, when people, I didn't say that to people, but for real, that's what it does mean to have a thick skin. Because no one owes you their respect. It's their choice whether or not they give it to you. And so what you had was people who wanted me to fix their problems that they were in.
Yeah.
And so that's what DEI turned into. It turned into a lot of babysitting. Instead of helping us really progress in our productivity to enhance, you're dealing with adults acting like children now. You see what I'm saying? Oh, he said this, she said this. I don't like that. They're standing in my way and they won't get out of my way. And I'm like, I am glad I was raised in the 80s and 90s where I know all I got to do is smack a bitch. I'll get you out of my way. You know what I'm saying? And I'm willing to get smacked back. That's the whole point of fighting. You know what I'm saying?
The whole point.
Excuse the cursing. I apologize. So
I'm
not advocating. Okay, but I'm not advocating violence. I'm advocating defense, self-defense.
That's right.
So when you have a lot of, I'm saying that this is not me targeting us, and I'm saying you got a lot of nagging and cackling about somebody doing something for me that you can do for yourself. You start taking a lot of energy. So now I'm doing programs because people want to argue about pronouns. Don't get me wrong, we need to discuss it. But it's like we're arguing pronouns. Y'all are arguing this, and you're not even graduating with a skill. You see, because people out there don't care. And that's what I had to finally get people to understand. All the stuff we're talking about only matters to us in academia. This does not matter to people out there. Watch to the next election and you'll find out. Watch. And then they found out.
Right.
I said, I told you, it was only in here that mess mattered. Because it's mess to them. It's junk. So I don't think that DEI is crap. So I will say that I don't think it's crap. I don't think DEI is a scapegoat. I think diversity, equity, and inclusion were misunderstood. I do think that DEI can be weaponized, and I think that it started getting there. I started seeing people use DEI against people who they thought weren't wise enough to know how to use it. So part of the reason why I still have clients is not because I play both sides. It's because I would ask people, do you want to be able to combat when somebody calls you a racist? When someone calls you a sexist, do you want to be able to combat it and keep going? They say you're homophobic, you want to be able to. I said, then I'll help you. I help you to understand but that means you got to know what the terms mean. Then that means we have to look at your behaviors and what you're doing. You see, that's why I said I wasn't about playing both sides. It was more like everyone needs to be educated. Everyone needs this help. So that's what DEI is, y'all. It is not about taking the job from Chambers and giving it to Butterfly. It is not about listening to Chambers and not listening to Butterfly. It is not about light skin is better than dark skin. Bald is better than hair. It's not about that. It's all about we're all different. We're all amazing. And we can figure out how to work together. Let's move at the pace of relationship and increase our relationship professionally by enhancing our productivity. Mm-hmm. So that's all it is. And
I've always kind of seen it as it didn't necessarily, like you said, it doesn't replace one with the other. It's not like I'm taking your job. I'm just opening the door up for people who wouldn't normally be even allowed in the interview room, who might have the same skill set to also interview. And they I think one time somebody had made the comment they didn't want to see a black pilot or something like that. And they were like, the black pilot still has to pass the test. They still got to go through it. It's just the fact that they were allowed to pass it. And I earnestly believe like the true misconception in their minds is coming from a public that doesn't realize, no, you don't understand. We weren't even allowed to take the test. They're not giving us the answers and saying, oh, well, you get to just pass, and I'm not allowed to. No, I still have the same critique. I still have to take the same test. It's just that I haven't had as many advantages to take this test as you have. That's the difference.
I went to a conference. This was about 3 years ago. There's one of my clients that I was working with, and I'm meeting with their board. Gentleman comes in with his wife. It's an all-white board. Okay. But the people were really, cool. They were really nice. Comes up to me. Thank goodness for going through therapy, having watched friends like Butterfly, reading books, okay, being on other platforms with Chamber, because you can kind of see some mess coming. I saw the mess coming a mile away. He's coming in with his wife. So I'm like, okay, I guess he got to try to show off for her. He might be afraid she think I'm cute. Okay, here we go. He comes up to me, and Ketanji Jackson had just been voted into the Supreme Court. So Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Jackson, excuse me.
Yes.
And he comes up and he was just like, man, what do you think about that? Like, all you got to do is be a woman. And he said, and I know, you're black, but it's like you just got to be a woman and be black to get into the Supreme Court. And so now keep in mind, bro, Chamber, that's the first thing he said to me after he introduced himself. That's the first thing he said.
Wow.
After I just met the guy. So the thing that I learned when being in these spaces is that a lot of people have impulse issues. They don't really have control of their mouth.
You don't even know.
They don't have control. You see what I'm saying, my brother? They don't control. It's like they don't know how to control. As soon as it come up, it comes out. So I'm like, really? That's what you're gonna say to me? So when he said that, I was like, okay. And just like you said, Butterfly, all the messages came up in my mind. Why did he say that to me? Why is this happening right now in this time? I'm here for this reason. I'm here to get this money. And I'm here to have a good time. Everybody's drinking but me. Stay sober, respond sober, don't react. Okay.
That's right.
And remember, he's probably trying to do this in front of his wife. I don't know. So I said, come on, Mr. Chamber. Do you really think it's that easy to get into the Supreme Court like that? And he was like, well, don't you think that's what happened? I said, are you sure that that's what you think it will happen? So he was trying to get me to agree with him. And I was like, no, do you think that's what you think what happened? He was like, well, how did she get in there? And so we pulled up her record. I said, you know what we're going to do? Let's pull up her record and let's look at what she's done. And when we pulled up her record and he saw what she had done, then I went to him. I said, see, people like her can't just get put in there. It don't work like that for her. Then I said, but let's look at Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. You see, it does work for him.
Because he didn't have near the credentials.
That's what that's DEI.
In their mind, what it is they took me and put me in the Supreme Court. In their mind, that's what happened. They just picked a black woman doing whatever and said, you with no law degree, not been a judge, don't have all these credentials, never sat on stuff, you go and be in the Supreme Court. No, that's not what they did. Not take Butterfly, who has no experience in that.
But you know what I'll say, Bo? But if they came in, if they approached you about it, you would do one or two things. You probably back out because you would say, I'm not skilled, or I haven't done that. Or you would go, shit, I got to get ready. Okay, so what I got to do? You see, you'll put yourself like in the sacrificial lamb.
How can I figure this out?
You see what I'm saying? And that's what I had to say. Yes, ma'am.
Technically, I can run for president.
Yeah,
actually, I got man can. You can. I got more credentials than the actual president to run for president right now.
That's true. That's true. And you're a veteran.
That's what I mean. I'm a veteran. I have a degree. I've lived life. I've served the community in different ways.
Served.
You don't have any felony counts?
No, not more than one. Not one.
I have none.
Let alone plus 30. But yeah, right. See, but there's something that I've realized I can just add, and please correct me if I use the wrong term. Please, I'm like, but I think that there's like a psychology kind of behind this that is going on. So when the man said that, right, and then I said what I said, I said it in a certain tone, so it wasn't like it was more like, okay, I hear you, Yeah. So I said things in a certain way, and I showed it to him, like, well, like, let's look at her background. If you want to compare it, let's look at this person's background. And I did that on purpose. Not saying that, Supreme Court Justice hasn't done a lot of things, because I know that he has. He's a year grad too, But I wanted the guy to understand, like, what you're saying, unfortunately, can be said about people who look like you. Now, the thing that's really interesting is that, and this is what I tried to do when I would go out and teach. No, this is what I did when I went out and teach. I always said, so I have my own little model. It's called POST. I say personal, organizational, systematic, and then transformative. If you can help somebody apply these things to themselves personally, they can then do it organizationally, because they understand what needs to be done, because they can look at it from their own perspective. So whenever I was brought in to do, like, say, some kind of change work, it was always the people who brought me in that needed a lot of the work too, but they wouldn't put themselves in it. And I would tell them, if you're not here, you're going to be the reason that this doesn't work. You see, because everybody has to go through this. Like, everybody is here. I'm the only person who's not here. So everybody needs to be a part of this. I was in the gym today, and I heard, some white men having a conversation. This is what I also think is going on. Heard this man say, man, I've been teaching my whole life. I know this man is knocking on 70, because I talked to him before, and I ain't made more than $88,000 in my life. And I'm like, wow. Now, I'm not minimizing that. 88,000, that's a lot depending on who you talk to. So that's not to minimize that at all. You know what I'm saying? Somebody want to give me 88, I'm taking it now. You know what I'm saying? If it's legal and it's good. So, but as I was listening to, he wasn't talking to me, he was talking to somebody else. But as I was listening to that, I thought, like, I said, that right there, when you think you should have something and you don't. That's why people are mad at this stuff. When you think you should have something and you don't. So I'm listening to this man talking. I'm like, ooh. So it's like he think he should be in a different place. So if somebody else is somewhere where he thinks he should be, see, that's why people don't like DEI. You see what I'm saying? Because that's what they see. If she's making that, I'm supposed to be making it, not her. So that's the thing I would tell people. That's why I say apply to yourself personally. Because if you would apply to yourself personally, you'll see eventually your own biases and your own gaps. And you'll see that you have a perception about other people or other things. So we can get you to deal with that. You can then help other people to deal with that. That's where the organization part comes in. Take it from micro. Now let's move it up to macro. There's one other thing, and I'd always tell people, this is why it's going to change. I said, this is why DEI is not a thing. And some people, when they see this of different hues, are not going to be happy with this, but I'm just saying. So groupthink, I think it's a problem in our country, just like amnesia. And people forget because they don't read, they don't want to, they don't critically think. And people jump on board with everything when they see everybody doing something, or they get scared. And when Mr. Floyd was killed, and it was documented and the whole world basically saw it, the reaction was everybody getting on the bandwagon for DEI. Now, what was that about? To me, that was about guilt. That was about people feeling bad. It was like, that was about people like, oh, wow, this is what you've been dealing with all the time. So now let's change our policies. Let's do all of this change. And that's what, and I told people then, I said, get ready. It's going to flip back at some point. And they were like, why? I said, one, because this is what weakness looks like. So when people say number 47 abolished DEI, I'm like, he didn't abolish anything. He showed how weak these leaders were.
That's right.
He showed how fragile they were. That's what he did.
Right.
He knew that he could get these punks to adjust to what he wanted, and they did. You didn't abolish anything. You just showed how weak folks were. You showed that a lot of these people didn't really want to do it. They did it out of guilt. They tried to fall in line. They did groupthink. And I told people that until another public murder happens, that everybody's going to fall back. And that's what happened. Everybody fell back. So that's what, so is it still a thing? As my leader friend said, the answer is yes. There's more of a need for it now than ever. But, you know, what's so funny is the people who resist or hate DEI or don't even realize that they're actually the benefactors of it.
Yes.
So, there you have it.
And
that's
people,
what I think always happens. Yep.
Yeah, a lot of the people thought, for some reason, they equate DEI with black folk.
Because of the word diversity. They instinctively attach diversity with black.
And not understanding that diversity is women, veterans, disabled, you name it. That's different. Everybody.
It's everybody. And I'm gonna even say it even include, and you tell me if I'm wrong, it even includes white people going into black spaces.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. That's why I say they got to apply personally. That's why I always said it was a two-way street. See, okay, look, I went to an HBCU, so I'm an HBCU grad, Alabama A&M, go Bulldogs all day. And when I went to UGA, I was the only black guy in the School of Forestry. I'd be in class with one or two couple of white people when I was at Alabama A&M, right? So the thing that I noticed, and this is where you got to start thinking about how structures were set up, because it's always set up in an unfair way, because it's set up in a deductive way. It's us against them. So a white person will have to have a scholarship to go to a black school, just like a black person gets a scholarship to go to a white school. So I'm like, you're already setting up this dichotomy where somebody has something that somebody else needs. You see what I'm saying? So just the nature of how things work sets it up for people to automatically, like, I'm in competition with Chamber. Why? Because he got the money and I need. It's the same mentality as being in the streets. You see somebody with a car, they got something that you want. You see, it's the same mentality.
I want it, so I'm gonna go get it. You see, oh, you gave it to them, then I need to come and steal from you to get it from them. Okay, so that's why you have Asians who would sue schools saying that they didn't get in the med school because this black person got in. White folks who saying I didn't get in because this black person. You see, so then they blame somebody else. That's entitlement and victimization. Yes. That's what that is. That's entitlement and victimization. So you're entitled. You think you should have something, and that's not right. But the thing is, that's how it was set up, though, and that's the reason why I would always start with the personal. I would help people see, one, you need healing yourself. You need healing. We all need it. Then I wanted them to see, but here's the power that you actually have. Then I was like, now let me show you how you've actually probably exercised it over somebody else and then realize that you did it. Especially if you see yourself as the victim. You see, so once you can show people that, they go, oh, now the victim gets removed. See, because, oh, I've done this. So I can win. I can be in control. Oh, I am in charge of myself. And that's the whole thing. That's what it's about. Self-ownership, self-professing, self-possessing, possession of self. If I can get you to possess yourself and feel good about yourself, it's going to be pretty hard for you to dislike somebody else because you got too much time focusing on you. But if I make it easy for you to look at somebody else and say, blame them, then that's what people will do. That's why I say groupthink. This country, our country, unfortunately, a lot of times we have so many weak-minded people who don't know how to research and think for themselves. I'm sorry, people. I saw it myself when I work in these places. When I got to Yale, look, I went from NC State, Capstone School in North Carolina, the flagship school, excuse me. When I got to Yale, when I was at NC State, people would listen to me. When I got to Yale and I got out, people would wait for me. And then I was like, oh my God, why y'all looking at me like that? And they really think that because you're there, you have the keys to the kingdom. And if you let it go to your head, which is what a lot of people do, then you'll be afraid to leave there. You see, and I wasn't afraid to leave there. I knew the greatness I had, the Most High put in me. I got it because of my community. I'll say because of people who look like me, because that's who took care of me and raised me.
And so I knew who I was by the time I got to Yale. I had to learn that over time. So I'm not going to say I had that all the time. But by the time I got to Yale, you couldn't tell me nothing about me. You couldn't tell me nothing unless it was positive, because that's the only thing I was going to let you tell me. Right. I didn't care who you were. So that's the thing that I noticed. So all I'm saying, people, is we have the power. You have the power, whether you're black, white, male, female, trans, old, young, disabled, in a wheelchair, disabled, visually impaired, veteran, not a veteran. You have the power. And the thing is that people have made you believe that you don't, because they feel like they don't, because someone told them that. You have the power. I'm not saying that somebody else ain't done wrong. What I'm saying is you're not so innocent either. So deal with your own mess before it deals with you, and you'll see how quick you'll flourish. And it ain't always just about being successful in the workplace. I care more about being successful personally, mentally, and spiritually, and emotionally, and with my family and friends than a job now. Because that's my career too. See, so my community embraces me, I'm okay. So I know I'm talking a lot.
No, you're good.
You hitting all the points though. You hitting all the very high points. I think.
Wait.
There you go.
I'm gonna go back because I'm about to tie y'all two together. That's why I love y'all. It's the Cancer energy. But two of y'all Cancer. I'm a Gemini, so I'm two by myself. So I'm gonna go back to what you said about definitions and people not understanding the meaning of words. And chamber or not chamber, that is his thing. He's like, people don't even know what stuff mean, and they want to go off about stuff, but you don't even have an understanding of the word. Even because you were saying, like, people are called these things, they don't even know what the word means, but they're like, no, I'm not that. But you did something that made it seem like you're that. So now we need to explore what it means, and then what you did, and then figure out why you did, So everything goes back to definitions, knowing what things mean, knowing what things are, and then understanding the behavior of the definition and why you were called that. Because somebody's wrong. Maybe you aren't this word, but if you don't know the meaning of it, maybe they were wrong for calling you. Maybe they don't know the meaning.
Right. Maybe they don't know.
Either way, you got to know the meaning of it before you can combat it. And that's I love definitions. I love the meaning of words. And even at the beginning, when we were talking about humble, I don't like that word because I ain't humble. I'm not shrinking myself, and I'm not bringing myself to another level for nobody. And I just looked it up. I fussed at one of my clients this week and said, and because they were like, well, you got to be humble. I said, why? Why you got to be humble? What? And I read the definition. I can't remember what it said off the top of my head. I'm gonna bring it up. But no, you don't have to be. Like, nobody's telling you to be, and you shouldn't have. And they're like, well, I don't want to brag. You're not bragging if it's sexual.
You're not bragging.
Right.
But go ahead. But what did
that's what we were talking. I know.
That's she just said. I was going to say that is unfortunate for me, because we were taught that way, and we were taught like that even from the church perspective too. It's like if I thank you, you can't say you're welcome. You got to give it all to God. It's like, wait, what? And sometimes I would be like, well, why can't you just say you're welcome? Or, I don't want to take the credit for it. But if you give people, so the other thing that you also just said, Butterfly, it's also about slowing down. So I'm like, okay, wait a minute, slow down. Okay, so God did it. They go, yeah. So God made you give me that money that I just asked for. Like, God, for real, and then they say him, they put a gender to him. He put his hand on your brain right as I was asking you for money and said, give Rashad that money. No, that's not how it happened. So that's why when I thank you, you could say you're welcome because it took some effort from your part. But see, and then I tell people that's not taking nothing away from God.
No.
God don't need a compliment anyway. And, and the truth is, it is giving something to you. It's giving acknowledgement of something that you did. But it's not saying that, oh, you've been so perfect and great the whole time. And see, and I think that's the thing. I think people really mistake. Here's another word that I don't use, that people use all of the time. I don't say collaborate because I don't collude with the enemy. That's what collaborate means, to collude with the enemy. So listen, I cooperate. That's what I said. So I cooperate versus collaborate, Yes. And, but don't get me wrong. I know that's a small thing, but I tell people.
No, it's a huge thing.
Well,
it's a huge thing, though.
That small becomes big. But what's going on, brother? You said it's a huge thing.
It's a very big thing, because it's even in my profession, like it be the small things, it be the little things, like, oh, I didn't worry about that, and then next thing you know, that becomes a recurring problem, and you're like, but that was the problem. It was this one little piece that nobody ever paid attention to.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and again, we talked about words and what we use. So humble describes a modest, meek, or unpretentious person who is not proud or arrogant. It also refers to low social rank.
See,
low social rank.
I ain't low right. So I'm shrinking.
No. Yes.
Right in front of you, being humble.
But as a people have always been told, oh, you got to be humble. You can't be arrogant. You can't talk about what you did. Listen, I've been called arrogant by somebody who was a friend one time. They're like, you arrogant. You too confident. I was like, well, if I'm too anything for you, we can't be friends, because apparently you feel like I'm dim in your life.
I've been told that before. And I'm like, really?
If all I'm doing is read my resume and that bothers you, I'm not the one with the problem.
Ooh, that's a good way of putting it right there. See, so that's why DEI had the issue, though. People who had a problem with you reading your resume because theirs wasn't where they wanted it to be.
Right.
They had a problem with that, and so they try to flip it on you. So that's why I was doing the work that I was doing. I'm glad that I never had anyone stop working with me. I've never lost a job, thank goodness. I can say, I'm thankful for that. Because I didn't bring that attitude in with me. My attitude was always like, I never worry about trusting people. I was telling a great friend of mine this who I'm working with. I'm going to pull a plug, Green Thread Network. I'll tell you more another time, but Green Thread Network. They said it's a network that I'm a part of. We were having our first meeting and somebody brought up, how are we going to trust each other and how are we going to do that? Now, don't get me wrong. I think that's a very important thing. It is great to trust people, especially if you're going to work closely with them. So I talked to the organizer when the meeting was over. I didn't address it in the meeting because I was like, I agree with the person. Yeah, we got to figure out how to work together. So my friend, she said, so how'd you feel about the meeting? I said, I was good until that person said that about the trust thing. And she said, why? And I said, because that sounds like victimization and entitlement to me all over again. And she says, why? And I was like, why do I got to trust you to work with you? I trust people to be people. I want to make sure that I show up. And I was like, I said, I don't need a friend. So I don't need to trust you. I said, I'm going to trust you to look out for yourself. That's what I trust you to do. I don't need you to look out for me, even though I'm going to look out for you. I don't expect that from you. You don't owe me that. I don't owe it to you. My job is to figure out, I guess, what it takes to get your trust. And then I'm just going to work not to do anything to break it as best as I can. But I'm not worried about gaining your trust because I ain't putting my emotions out on the sleeve with your ass anyway. You see, and that's what I also realized. That's what happened to a lot of people too. They want to, instead of being courageous enough to go into a place and experience something, I got to know what's going to happen before I get there. Stop being a punk. Be mature. Some things you got to go through and figure it out.
Right.
Yep. To me, that's also what happened with DEI. It devolved into something. And so that's why it became easy for a side to say, we're not going to do it.
Right.
We shouldn't do this anymore. And right before, what happened politically happened, well, not right before, but before it was going down, I was writing articles and teaching people that the entire time because I knew I was like, it's coming. I knew it's coming. I know it's coming. So let me try to educate people now. Listen, that's not what DEI is. They're going to say it. Yeah. And they're going to get a lot of y'all, but that's not what it is. And some people actually listened to me and understood, and that's why I'm thankful that they did. But that also meant I had to communicate it a certain way too, two-way street.
Right. And
do something.
And if I'm in a meeting and somebody bring up something about trust, I'm looking at them. Because why are you bringing up trust? Somebody either broke your trust or you're not trustworthy. So now I'm looking at you because I don't know why you brought it up. And I'm just like you. My philosophy is people and people do what people do.
That's right.
That's it. So
I don't put anything past anybody.
Nope.
I think we talked about this last time. Somebody could tell me my mama killed somebody, and I'm gonna be like, dang. I ain't gonna be like, no, she didn't. She would never. I don't know what they didn't put her through.
Yeah.
You have to explain to me the circumstances surrounding the situation first before I go, no, that didn't happen.
Right.
I tell everybody context. I said a lot of people don't want to hear this. I said, but context is important. And they'll say, why? Why do you keep saying context is important? And I said, well, in my work, as I did DEI work, I would always say, because the content don't change, just the context. And I was like, if somebody talks to you a certain way here, you're not going to like it when they talk to you a certain way over there either. So what changed? The context changed. The situation changed.
Yep.
You just went over here. The content stayed the same. You do not like people talking to you a certain way. Okay, it would be the same way in the workplace when things were happening. I would say, okay, things that you do at home, you can't do here. Okay, the context changed. So the way you talk to your family, don't bring it here. You got to turn it off and walk in that door because it's not the same context. This is work. This is not home. This is not family. So that's what I would see. And I would tell people, that's why I say DEI, it's not chemistry. Well, it is technically, but it's not biology. It's not like organic chemistry. You know what I'm saying? It's not calculus. You know, it really is emotional intelligence. It is about patience. You know, I think it's about being aware. And when people say being humble, no, be aware. You know, that's what it is. If I'm aware of my accolades and what I've done, and you know, and I'm aware of where I am, then there's a way for me to show up in a place. So that's what at least I hope y'all see. This is why people like working with me when it came to those letters, because they will be able to see their own brilliance in it. They will see how they can benefit from it. You see, and I said, now if you know you benefit, you cannot take that message to someone else. I always say, you don't need me. I just need to show you how to do it, and then I can get out of the way. So
give them the fundamentals and let them grow from there.
Teach them to fish, and they'll eat for the rest of their life. And that's how I work. That's how I work. So that's what it is, y'all. It's not that other thing. It's not a black thing. It's not a woman thing. It's not a gay thing. It's not an Asian thing. It's not an age thing. It's a human thing.
And all it is it's dismantling a system that only looked for a particular genre of people. I'm gonna put it that way.
Yeah.
Instead, it just said, let's just put the credentials up and let's see who fits in those credentials, no matter what color, race, creed, gender, whatever, as long as you can fulfill these requirements to do the job. And then opened it up and made it available to all those people, which is what DEI is supposed to be, includes everybody. Whereas before it was just like, well, we need this type of person, so we're just gonna look for white males. And they're like, whoa, wait a minute, how you know somebody else can't do that job? Well, that's what we've always had them doing. Yeah, you've always had them doing that, but how do you know somebody else can't do the job?
That's like you said, that's all it was, right? So then it went, so to some people's mind, it went to an extreme. Now, take that perspective. Oh, so now white men are not getting jobs. That's a lie. But see, that's the narrative that started being told. White men are losing jobs to people. I'm like, no, they're not. How do you know that
they are? Because they weren't qualified for it. That's why.
They weren't
qualified for it.
That's what I was saying.
The people who were losing the jobs are the ones who weren't qualified anyway.
Exactly.
It's just too difficult for them to believe that somebody of color qualifies for the job.
And that's why I would tell them, I said, look at who's in leadership. That destroys the narrative right there. If white men don't have a job, then why y'all still in leadership? If white people if they don't have it, then why y'all in leadership? So then that would get rid of that. Okay, then they would say, well, this person got a job and they shouldn't have it. Let's look at his or her credentials. Okay, this person got a doctorate and you don't. And you complain
about why are we even having this discussion?
Why are we having this discussion? But before I'll tell you this, before I left Yale, I want to honor the person. I won't say names. I won't do that, but there was a professor that they really wanted to hire. Okay. It was a sister. I really wanted her there. Okay. And somehow there was a miscommunication. I wasn't there, but there was a miscommunication that happened. So when you get your doctorate, in school, you have these tests that you have to take. And when you get to your comprehensive exams, the comprehensive exams is what you take to determine that you can do your research. See, once you pass your comprehensive exams, there's really nothing to stand in your way. You're finishing your doctorate, but you see, you just got to do the work now, present it, and then defend it. I like present it, do it, defend it, edit, graduate, goodbye. But the comprehensive exams, you got to pass. Okay, you got to get through this. See, so that's the last thing that we're holding you over before we turn you off to your own and you can do this. So this person took 2 comprehensive exams when they were working on the doctorate. 2 comprehensive exams. So throughout their career, what they were kind of saying to people is that they had 2 doctorates. Okay. Now, here's the wonderful thing about when you come from a major like an Ivy League school. You remember what I said? When I would go places, people would just like wait on me, So if you've been saying that for years and no one challenged and no one looked at this individual's background. Okay. So for years they kept saying they have 2 doctorates, they have 2 doctorates. Well, when it was time to bring them to Yale and try to hire them, that's when the truth came out. Like, oh no, they don't have 2 doctorates. So then the question was, well, why were they saying that? So now, keep in mind, when this is happening, I'm the dean of community and inclusion. So this comes by me. Okay, so you see, comes by me. I'm not even a tenured professor, but this position is for a tenured professor. So someone brings the idea to me, Thomas, what is this? And the first thing I did, I said, let's deal with the real. I said, most of y'all don't want to hire this person because they're black. I said, let's go on and deal with them. You already don't want to bring them here, and it's a black woman. All right. And I said, so I'm going to ask a real simple question that'll at least debt the mess that y'all are upset about. Let's see. I said, does a person need 2 doctorates to do the job? No. I said, the argument is gone now. Because everything that you want to hire them for, so I'm saying everything you want to hire them for, they've actually done. They published, they've written, they've done all the stuff. The world knows who they are. They go, yeah. So the reason you want them here is because of what they've done. What they're trying to do now is find a reason not to hire them.
Yep.
Okay. I said that's what they're trying to do. Now that don't mean that we don't have to deal with something, because I did have to talk to that person, Yeah. And then when you go back and you talk, now remember I had to say that for you, because when you take 2 comprehensive exams, it feels like you completed 2 programs, because you have to answer for 2 different disciplines. But you only can say you have 2 doctorates if you wrote 2 dissertations. Gotcha. So the person passed 2 comprehensive exams, 2 different fields. So in a way, they did think that they could say that. So they said it. And here's the thing. They didn't stop them when they were getting a doctorate, when they were saying it. They let them believe that. So that was the other thing I told them. I said, y'all mad, but blame their major professor, whoever they worked with. They let them walk out of here saying that. And then y'all just fell in line with it all this time. Like you said, Butterfly, what's the meaning? What does it mean? Define it. So what I didn't let them do is keep from hiring that sister. I said, no. I said, no, y'all ain't gonna do that, because a lot of y'all up in here, y'all shouldn't be in here, so you're not gonna do that to her. And that's so and it happens all the time. And that's more than they had. Exactly. And that's what DEI is for, to prevent things like, to prevent her from not getting the job when she actually had, or this person, had the responsibility. And I would say what it's also about is also bringing out the truth about something too. So what they were able to do, they uncovered something. So we got to change the narrative about this, but it don't mean that this person can't do the job.
Sure. Right. And it's always, if she did have the 2 doctorates, did she need the 2 doctorates because she was a black woman, or, you know what I'm saying? Because like as black people, we always got to go above and beyond. They have to see that we have this. Like you said, go to the Supreme Court justice. Like this is stuff you can do on your own. Look at one and then look at the other and look at the resumes of those, and the black women at least. But I'm gonna say black people. We always have to have more. We always have to go above and beyond for
with everything. An impeccable record.
Yeah,
before they can say we're qualified to do it.
Yeah. I had to have a doctorate to do the job, that I did. I told them, I said, majority of people who do my work do not have a doctorate. Why did I have to have one? You see what I'm saying? I said, but not like a why woe is me. I was like, look at what I had to do to get here. And then I would tell people, I don't. And so then they would ask me, how are you so confident? And I said, because I don't question whether or not I belong here. That's right. I know I earned my way up in here. I know. I said, I'm more qualified than the majority of DEI people here.
Right. So and they're just afraid that even if we're not qualified, we're always, most of the time we qualify. But in their mind, they think we're not. But not only do we have to be overqualified, they're afraid we're going to go in and take over. And they're afraid of that. And I just saw a post the other day that said, we've let them have pickleball long enough. It's time for us to take over.
See, it's like it's a cycle. It's a
It
pattern.
is. It is.
That's why I study human behavior. That's why I now that's what I like to do is study that. And then I can that's the reason why I knew DEI was gonna fall. They were like, why? I said because we haven't had another public murder. I said we haven't had one. If we had a public murder, I said it would stay. If we had a public murder, I was like Kamala Harris would have won. You know, all kind of stuff would have happened if we had something like that. And I said, I'm not saying that I want that to happen. No. But I'm just saying
it's just indicative of human pattern.
That's it. You know, and so I'm like what Jay-Z said. I watched this recent GQ interview, which is really dope, by the way.
Yes.
You know, he says, I don't try to make the world out what I want it to be. I look at the world as it is. And that's what I do. I look at it as it is. So crap happens. I don't believe that somebody got power over me. I believe I have power over me. I don't believe that someone is better than me. I don't believe that I'm better, like as far as like in essence than somebody else. Quality, yeah. I've done a lot of things that a lot of people ain't done. I don't hide that I was successful, you know, in the work that I did.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
In essence, hell yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yes. So I want you to,
Yes.
we've hit our hour, and you know we always go over, but I want you to show your mug that you have, because I saw you drinking out your mug and what it says.
It is.
Jazz and soul and funk and hip hop.
And hip hop.
Mm-hmm. All genres that people like us created.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
And I know we're not gonna get into it, but as all of us, like for you, some people see you as Forrester, some people see you as DEI, people see you as Pastor, some people see you as Rashad, the rapper, some people
artist,
see you as Mr. Easley, some people see you as Easley Branch. I know I missed something. I don't know what it is. Dr.
My heart
Easley.
for diversity. Yep.
Huh?
My heart for diversity, the consultant side,
Yeah.
For that.
So different people see you as different things, and just know that oh my goodness, so many thoughts are coming to my head. I'm gonna get it out. So because as I said that was another thing that we as Black people, we have to be more than one thing. We're not given the privilege of being or doing one thing in life. We have to do multiple things. So that's not where I was going with that. Right. Yeah. I was going with that to give you your flowers, but it just dawned on me how we have to be and continue with more and more and more and more, because we have to show up in different spaces, in different places as ourselves, but also in these different facets. And okay, it's too much. I don't even know where I'm going.
No. I mean,
I saw the street signs. I saw where you were going. There is a lot to it. There's so many ancillary side roads to it and everything else, and it gets bigger as you look at it from a wider lens.
We have to be, not just because.
But I don't think I think that there's, if I can just add a little line into it, and I know that we're at times, so I won't even make this long. It's just that you acknowledge a truth that all of us have had to deal with. Okay. So I'm not saying that it's right that it's that way, but that's the way that it has been. And so and that's why I said, right, our generation, those older than us, they're more resilient because they had to deal with that. They had to prove themselves. You see, and even when they proved themselves, most of the time it didn't work. We proved ourselves. For most of us, it worked. You see, so we got into places. The younger generation, if you really think about it, a lot of times they didn't have to prove themselves because we did that already. You see, we made it so that y'all could go in the door, just like they made it so that they would look at us through the door. And so I think that the things that every generation, I think, can pat the future generation on the back and say, you're welcome. But they also got to say, I believe in you. You see what I'm saying? Because there's something you got to do that I couldn't do. And then you got to look back and say, thank you.
For the foundation.
You see what I'm saying? I appreciate that because you did something that I didn't have to do. But at the same time, you also haven't done what I'm about to do. You see what I'm saying? So that's a two-way street. It's a two-way street, so we
Yeah.
got to give it to each other. And I think that I would say this to my younger people who don't like that reality that Butterfly just said, it's not fair. It's not right, but it is. If you don't like it, and I feel you, then create your own system. Okay? I didn't say deal with it. I said create your own system. Because when you create your own, you can then determine all of the rules. And if you really think about it, Brother Chamber, that's in some way, that's really what we're dealing with. People who had an idea about what they thought something should be. They created it, they established it through pain, death, and war. And that's why our country been in war, and I mean, you know more about that as a veteran than me, but that's where our country was established on war. Our country has been maintained on war, and our country's still freaking moving on war. Okay,
that's right.
That ain't love. That's not love. So, so that means that we've always had to do more than what was expected of us, and the thing that we should do is we should never negate that. And we should, you don't got to throw it in people's face, just you don't forget it. So when people come, like I just did a job recently in Atlanta with an organization, and organizations love changing the parameters, but it's like, but once they put something on paper, you can't change that, and and so I know that. But if you change something with me, I still will ask because you changed something with me, and me and this person had a little back and forth, nothing passionate, just a back and forth, and they were like, as a friend, they said, I want to say this to you, like they said this to me. And then I said, as a friend, what I want to say to you is I know I did more than what I was asked to do. I took a cut to do this work for you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I took a cut to do this work for you because I didn't have to do it. Every time y'all wanted something different, I did it. So, so don't try to be self-righteous above me because I asked for something when you've already done. And that's the thing that I have to also admit. That's what's consistent. A lot of times when I work with, not here, but when I work with people, I always do more and above and beyond. That's why I don't mind asking for more or writing a big contract, because I know no matter what, when I walk in that door, I'm going to do more than you expected, more than you wanted anyway. I'm going to outdo anything you had, because that's what we've always done. That's what I do.
That's right.
That's what y'all do.
That's who we are as a people.
That's who we are.
Okay. So if y'all want to know more about Dr. Rashad Easley, Thomas Rashad Easley, first I'm going to plug, I have a whole episode on my other YouTube channel called Him, How I Met. I got a whole episode with Dr. Rashad Easley and one with Chamber 7. If y'all want to know more about the two of them individually, where I interview them about all they're doing, all that they've been doing, and all that great stuff. I also have 2 Grammy winners that I interviewed on my Him channel. I gotta start posting that. 2 Grammy. Like I tell people, like, I don't know where my greatness comes from, but sometimes when I touch people, greatness lands upon them. So I got 2 Grammy winners that I did hymns with. So check out that channel. And if you want to find more about Dr. Easley, that is there. But also tell them how they can contact you and reach you if they would like to.
If you want to contact, like if you want to work with me, email me at info@easleybranch.com. If you want to connect with me on social media at Easley Branch Music, especially for our content, some of our curricular stuff, we infuse art in our work, and then just me with some authorship or some facilitation of coaching. I'm at a Dr. Dr. Thomas Rashad Easley. So you can find me on Instagram, those places, and then just look for Thomas R. Easley on LinkedIn or on Facebook. And I go by Rashad Ease in the musical world, hip hop forester, and that's it.
Do I have that spelled right?
Let me see. You gotta forgive me. I don't know why I'm having technical difficulties. My computer wants to try to shut down now. Let me see. Okay. You got it. Yep, you got it. You got it. You got it. That's it. It just went blank, and I'm like, come on now.
Yeah. Yes. And I didn't show y'all my shirt. So my shirt today says,
let me see.
Don't be sorry, be better.
Oh, right. That's it.
Yeah. Listen, tired of y'all. Tired of people, tired of stuff. Like people be ready to be like, oh, I'm sorry. No, be better. Change your life. Do what you need to do.
Yeah, stop apologizing.
Yeah.
Get it right.
Just be a better human being.
That's
right.
Life. That's it.
Right.
So that's what this shirt is for today. So I want to say thank you once again for joining us, Rashad, and we welcome you.
Can I come back
again?
I just
Absolutely.
made my request, please, because we got we got a whole host of things that we could do, and that I can learn from y'all too. So yeah, please,
Yeah, and
I'd be honored to come.
Definitely.
we're coming up on the end of this season, but we're gonna start back up towards the end of the year. So we do a season at the beginning of the year, one towards the end of the year. So we'll be ramping back up. So we will absolutely get you on one of our topics, because me and Rashad, we talk a lot about relationships, people, life, all kind of like me and Chamber. Like these my Cancer brothers right here. Like I don't know what it is about me and Cancers, but I keep them in my life. My son is a Cancer as well. So I'm surrounded by Cancer men. And I'm just going to say, y'all know 50 Cent is a Cancer too. So I don't know what that means. But
yes, he is.
Yes. So they're loving and sweet.
Yeah.
But they're going to have my back and something pop off. So just know that's why I keep them in my corner. So yeah. So thank you again for being on. Thank y'all for watching. And anything else y'all want to say before we close out?
No, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Please check out. Thank you for having me. And if you want to read my work, I have a book, My Heart for Diversity. If you want to listen to some of my music, I just put out a new project called Don't Overthink It. It is my highest streaming and highest selling record to date. I mean, people love it. And I can say this with truth, and I understand a lot why. Even I'm like, I can't believe I made this. So it's a really good project. It's still making clean music, but it's not like contextualized like most of my music. It's just kind of like having fun.
Okay.
So please check me out. Rashad Easley, Don't Overthink It.
That's right. And if you can't find it, make sure you hit him up and ask him about his music. Because
Hey. We got Easley Branch music, easlybranch.com. You can also go there and find all of our stuff, because it's like 5 artists on the label. So
yes,
please check us out.
easlybranch.com. Right. Make sure y'all hit them up. So thank y'all again. Bye.
Peace.
Thank you again for watching People, Perspective, and The Pulse. Reminding you to like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, bring a friend, and let's do it again. Thank you again. Bye.